pleasure and honor to introduce our one and only 8th grade student, Brennan Williams, today. Several months ago, I asked Brennan, I approached him and said, Brennan, would you be willing to share your passion for science and where that has taken you with all of us in an assembly sometime? And he readily agreed to do that. So Brennan is somebody who has taken his passion into action. And after his presentation today, it might motivate some of you to do the same thing. So, Brennan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, I should say. As Ms. Berman said, I'm Brennan Williams, and today I'd like to talk to you about what I did to go from my passion to action. So, as long as I can remember, I've always had this love, this fascination for science. I can recall my very first chemistry set and how I tried to make the most dangerous and explosive acids to kill my mom's garden plants. But I really didn't put this passion into action until I reached 5th grade, at which point I launched my publication, Science Monthly. This is the original edition, and as you can see, it's very bland, very to the point. Each article was only about a paragraph or two long. All the articles were put on one page. So it became clear to me that if people were going to actually read this, I needed to make something easier to read. So Science Monthly quickly turned into something a bit more graphical that my peers with shorter attention spans could enjoy. I am one of those peers, by the way. So I was able to create something a little bit more appeasing to the eye and something everyone could understand. However, each article is still only about a paragraph long. So I really wanted to take this to the next level. However, at this point, I reached 6th grade, where I went to middle school. So the workload was so hectic that I decided to make it into Science Quarterly. This is one of the more recent editions, and now each article is 2 to 3 to 6 to 7 or 8 pages long. And so I'm really trying to balance text and delivering rich content to the reader with a good amount of images that are easy to understand. However, it became clear to me that I needed a way to keep track of my day-to-day science experiments and projects in a way that I couldn't if I published something on a quarterly basis. So I launched my website, BW Science Labs, in the summer of 7th grade. And so I soon realized that I needed a set of goals to follow, otherwise things would fall apart. Unfortunately, it took me a little bit longer to figure out some of these goals than I would have liked. But in the early days of BW Science Labs, as soon as I realized that people were actually going to read this, I wanted to get as many readers as possible. Because originally I didn't create BW Science Labs to get money, because Lord knows there's no money in blogging. And I didn't create it to get a pat on the back. I wanted a way to keep track of what I was doing so I could look back and build off of my previous experiments. So I quickly decided, hey, I want to get as many readers as possible, and I spent far too much time getting traffic than I did actually promoting content. However, now it took me a very long time, but I finally realized that content is your best weapon, and in fact, a vast majority of readers come to my website through a Google organic search. So when people want to know something, they search it and come to my website. I now have thousands of readers in over 50 countries, and consistent readers in about 35. And so in addition, I want to get at least one interview per edition of Science Quarterly. And so I'm really able to use my publication as an excuse to meet the best of the best and the brightest. I've been able to meet, through this, Nobel laureates, NASA Ames rocket scientists, a lot of engineers from Harvard and Stanford, and a few other marine biologists. And so I was able to sort of make up an excuse to be able to meet these brilliant people and learn from them. And I also tell myself that I do what I do, not because I have to do it, not because I have a deadline, but because I love to do it. So all those late Saturday nights that I'm working on this, I can tell myself that if I didn't love what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing it. And ironically, that keeps me going. And finally, I want to focus a lot on sharing my ideas and sharing my work, because I don't want to worry if that I haven't patented something, because patents are way too expensive. I don't want to worry about someone publishing something I've written without citing me. I just want to work on getting my stuff as out there as possible. And it's really paid off. A couple months ago, one of my articles was published on the Make magazine blog, which generated several hundred new readers to my website and growing. So at this point, I would really like to think big. As I said, I try and reach out to the best of the best through my publication. And now, pretty much every time I read a book that I enjoy based on science, I try to contact the author. I've contacted several physicists, and I've contacted quite a few scientists in many other fields. Though pretty much most of them, like pop star of quantum physics Brian Greene, do not respond. I do get a few responses from people like Professor Michael Douglas. He's the head of the physics department at Brown University, and I was able to learn quite a bit from him at a more personal level because of this. And so while it's a lot of fun being able to publish all of this and to build websites, it's not all fun and games. For instance, when I conducted an interview with a rocket scientist, he was determined to make it harder on me and not answer my questions. He ended up scribbling a bunch of high-level physics equations in my notebook when I was in 6th grade. So that article turned out to be a little bit harder to write. However, it's because of these hardships that I'm able to learn a lot more. In addition, I have several dead robots sitting in my room. They can't even make a tiny little noise. And after slaving for hours over them, it's clear that none of them are living. I have several chemicals in my bathroom that, though they provide a wonderful safety hazard to me and my family, they do nothing exciting, and I wasn't able to build off of them. However, I find that I learn just as much from my failures than I do my successes. So I try not to let that be a roadblock for me. So really, at this point, after you follow your passion for a certain amount of time, you want to ask yourself, what's next? I'm currently building another website for Science Quarterly that will be easier for people to download all the latest articles at no charge whatsoever. And I'm currently working on expanding the BW Science Labs community. And of course, I would like to keep the three main ideas of BW Science Labs at heart: exploration, experimentation, and innovation. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So to close, I would like to mention my good friend Wi-Fi, or What's in it for you? Why have I been talking for the past 8 minutes? So here's some things I want you to take away from this presentation. One, regardless of what your passion is, don't be afraid to pursue it. Research it, learn from it as much as possible. Don't be afraid to contact the experts, the pop stars in whatever your passion is. Remember, those pop stars used to be you, and they used to be just as afraid of those experts. Be prepared. Every time I go to an interview, I always like to have quite a bit of background data on whoever I'm interviewing, so I can really utilize my time with that person. Share your work. Don't worry, at least for now, about making a profit or, ooh, how can I sell this and make as much money as possible? Believe me, I've tried going down that road and it does not work. And finally, most importantly, just do it. Don't be afraid of flaws. As Guy Kawasaki will write in his book, just go ahead, publish whatever you have, and if you're worried about flaws, then you'll never get it out there. Thank you.